Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to review the ADDIESDIVE AD-2102 homage to a Seiko Save the Ocean Sumo. Let's start out with the wrist check. I'm wearing my Casio G-Shock, and Grego is wearing my Pagani Design PD 1649 homage to a Tag Heuer Octavia. Grego said Mando paid some Ugnaughts to make him some Beskar steel for his armor. They set up a foundry outdoors and made some metal, but Mando said it was of a very poor quality due to atmospheric anomalies. So they moved the foundry inside and made some bars and showed it to Mando, and they were even worse. He shook his head and said, "And I thought they smelt bad on the outside." Here's the watch. Comes in this nice plastic case. ADDIESDIVE always does that. Really handy. I said that this watch was an homage to a Seiko Save the Ocean Sumo, but actually there is no such thing as a Save the Ocean Sumo. They have a Samurai, King Turtle, and Monster, but not a Sumo. So technically this is not a knockoff of a Save the Ocean Sumo since it doesn't exist. Speaking of Save the Ocean, you will not be saving the ocean if you purchase this watch from ADDIESDIVE, as no money will be given to ocean conservation with purchase. However, if that bothers you, you can make a small donation to Patty. I'll leave a link in the description. I try to keep politics out of my reviews, so I'll leave it up to you to decide if you are actually saving the ocean when buying one of the Seikos. I noticed that my local movie theater claims that I am saving the planet by using one of their hand dryers. Another thing to point out is that ADDIESDIVE calls this one of their deep sea hunter watches, and the ADDIESDIVE logo is a diver's mask with two spear guns laid out, similarly to the Jolly Roger pirate flag. So the theme of this watch is killing ocean life rather than conserving it. Whether or not you're into ocean conservation, this is still a rather attractive watch, and possibly the nicest ADDIESDIVE watch I've ever reviewed. It is definitely the most expensive. The watch is 44.4 millimeters if you measure at the case, but 42.2 millimeters if you measure at the bezel. It's 52.2 millimeters lug to lug and 55.7 if you count the protruding end links. It is 13.8 millimeters high, has a 20 millimeter lug width, which is surprising for a watch this size. Usually a watch this size would have a 22, and it weighs 190 grams with one link removed. This is a heavy watch, which justifies the nickname Sumo. The 120 click ceramic unidirectional bezel is fully loomed. Instead of a loom pip like a Seiko, it has a fully loomed triangle. The numbers are big and fat, just like a Sumo. The bezel is coin edged, and you need to grip it on the top and the bottom because the case acts as a shroud on the sides. The bezel action is solid, but a bit stiff, but not so stiff that it becomes annoying. The dial is gorgeous. Yes, it is a ripoff of a Seiko Save the Ocean dial, but a very nicely done ripoff. It is a stunning deep blue that fades to black on the edges, which makes it look like you're in the deep ocean looking up at the light from the sun. There are silhouettes of sharks and a manta ray. Then the texture of the dial really mimics the distortion effect of the flowing water. This dial is a showstopper. Applied fully loomed indices and the date at the 3. ADDIESDIVE name and logo printed in white on top. Deep Sea Hunter, all one word. We're not saving the ocean. We're killing all foolish enough to get in the way of our dual spear guns. Then it says automatic and 200 meters. Glad they left out water resistant in the depth and feet, which would clutter up such a nice looking dial. They should have left off Deep Sea Hunter also. It would have been a lot cleaner. We have fully loomed sword hands with the outer hand split vertically in the middle with a pointed stripe. Stoplight second hand that is all white. No need for red with this color scheme. The sapphire crystal is slightly domed, you can barely tell, and has a blue AR coating that does a great job of stopping the glare. The blue is hardly noticeable due to the blue on the dial. The dome is so slight you have to seriously tilt it before you notice any distortion effect. It has a sign screw down crown which gives us 200 meters of water resistance. It pops nicely when unscrewed and threads nicely when screwing back down. There are no crown guards, but being at the 4 o'clock position, it keeps the crown out of the way. Has a solid stainless steel case. It's a combination of brushed and polished. It's brushed on top here except for these little bevels by the end links. And then it's polished on the sides except for this brush stripe on the middle and polished on the bottoms. The screw down case back has the ADDIESDIVE logo as well as the 200-meter depth rating. This has the specs of a proper diver's watch, but it is not ISO 6425 certified. Keep in mind that to be ISO 6425 certified, each and every watch must be tested and not just a random sampling. This testing requirement makes it impractical for watches of this price range. The case back also mentions the NH35. This is the Seiko design workhorse movement that is extremely popular with watches of this price range due to its price, accuracy, and reliability. It's a 3 Hz movement that hand winds, hacks, and has a bidirectional rotor. It's fairly standard enough that I don't think I need to do a time graph on this watch. Most NH35s will be anywhere from 10, plus 10 to minus 10, even though the specs say a lot wider. It has solid end links, which are only 20 millimeters wide, which is kind of small for a watch this big. Maybe it's a weight saver as this big watch is already heavy enough. The lugs are drilled, making strap changes easy. This bracelet has no diver's extension, so you'll want it on a strap if you're going to put it over a wetsuit. These are some fairly large lugs, but at least they slope down pretty good and it helps fit on the wrist better. The bracelet is very nice looking. This is a brushed single link with polished stripes bordering the pseudo center link. These are big links and I only had to remove one link to fit on my 7.5-inch wrist. However, I had to put it on the shortest micro adjust here, so you should be able to wear this if you have an 8.5-inch wrist but no larger. The clasp is your basic ADDIESDIVE clasp, unsigned press safety clasp with only 3 micro adjusts. I've never seen a braceleted ADDIESDIVE without this clasp. It does the job, but a watch this nice deserves a better clasp. Here's the watch on my 7.5-inch wrist. As you can see, it wears really nice. Even though this is a big watch, it sits nice and flat due to the curved lugs. And even though it has protruding end links, they curve down significantly. So yes, you can wear this watch unless you have a really tiny wrist. And once again, look at that dial. That dial just looks great. Here's the watch on a vintage leather strap. I always like the look of dive watches on vintage leather, even though technically you shouldn't put a dive watch on leather in case you go in the water, but that's not very likely. And here is the watch on a Bond NATO. This is the one that came with the Pagani design. I think it looks nice. When I woke up this morning, I could still see the lume of this watch, and I knew it was excellent lume. No need to bring out the Pagani design for a power test, just going straight with the Heimdallr. As we speed up the clock, it is the ADDIESDIVE Blue BGW9 versus the Green Heimdallr C3. It's very even with the ADDIESDIVE triangle and round indices beating everything else. Minute hands are about even with the Heimdallr hour hand taking the edge. Also, the Heimdallr has better 12, 6, and 9 lume, but overall the ADDIESDIVE has excellent lume. What do I like about this watch? Well, fantastic lume with fully lume bezel. Beautiful dial, just gorgeous. And it's a really great looking bracelet. And I love this anti-reflective sapphire crystal. Look at that, you can see right through it, no problem. What are my gripes and groans? Deep Sea Hunter conflicts with the conservation theme. A watch that looks this nice should have a nicer clasp than this plain boring one. And it only has 3 holes of micro adjust, which is way too small for links this big. And a watch this big really should have a bracelet with at least one more link on it. Do I recommend this watch? Yes. Once again, ADDIESDIVE hits it out of the park with a stunning looking homage to a classic design. You might not be saving the ocean, but you'll be saving your wallet. Well, thank you for watching my review of the ADDIESDIVE AD-2102. Be sure and like and subscribe to my channel, and I will be back later with another review, or hopefully another unboxing fairly soon. Bye.